Okay, let's solve this absolute value equation. So it's an absolute value equation. The first step, get the absolute value alone. So, I'm going to subtract the 12 from both sides, and so I get 2 times the absolute value of 3x plus 1 equals negative 2. Divide both sides by 2. And so I get the absolute value of 3x plus 1 equals negative 1. Now, a good number of you are just going to blindly go on to the next step. But if I reread to you what step 1 says, rewrite isolating the absolute value, make sure the absolute value is equal to a positive number. If it is not, stop. There is no solution because the absolute value cannot equal a negative number. Right there, this is not possible. This here says same as asking where is something that is always positive equal to a negative. Can't be. Something that's positive is not equal to a negative. So you just have to stop and write no solution. And so you need to do that quick check. Is this a reasonable equation? If it's not reasonable, stop. And here's another reason why say you forget to do that. You just blindly go on and solve the problem and you get 2 answers and blah, 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 you get 2 answers. Another really good reason why you should check your work, that if you forget this step right here and you just continue on and you get 2 answers that are totally bogus, if you check your answers, you will find out that they are bogus and you won't accept them. Always check your work if you've got the time to check it. Now, I will not do to you on a test. I won't set you. For me, this sort of problem is kind of setting a student up for failure. I won't do this to you on a test. Yeah, I feel perfectly fine doing it to you on homework, but I would not do it to you on a test. So there's that one. So let's do one that actually works. Okay, solve this guy. So same deal, get the absolute value alone. Make that legible. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. And then the critical step, I have to rewrite that I'm going to rewrite 2 ... inside equal positive or inside equal negative. Meaning this: 4x minus 5 halves equals 5, or 4x minus 5 halves equals negative 5. That's what I said in my little steps over here. Rewrite without the absolute value symbol using the following: argument equal positive number, argument equal negative number. And all we mean by the official mathematical word argument is inside. Inside equal to positive, inside equal to negative. Notice I did not change anything about the inside. 5x minus or 4x minus 5 halves. I did not change that to plus 5 halves. Many students will change that to plus 5 halves because they'll say, well, absolute value always makes everything positive. And that is true. But you don't really know what this is. It's not just negative 5 halves. If it was just the absolute value of just the number negative 5 halves, by all means, make that 5 halves. But it's not just negative 5 halves. It's 4x minus 5 halves. And because you have a variable in there, you don't really know if that expression's positive or negative. And so you can't just change part of it. And so you leave the inside just exactly as it is. Now we solve those equations. I'm going to clear that fraction. So I'm going to multiply everybody by 2, canceling those fractions. And I get 8x. I got a little aggressive there with my canceling. It looks like I canceled the 5. (8x minus 5 equals 10), or 8x minus 5 equals negative 10. Add 5. 8x equals 15. 8x equals negative 5. X equals 15/8. X equals negative 5/8. And then I do have the checking here on these guys. If you did your work correctly, the answer should be right. There is no way that you're going to get an extraneous solution here. So if you did your work correctly, the answer should be correct. But the checking graphically is down at the bottom there if you want to check it graphically. And in this case, they do check just fine. Okay, so one more problem in this section, a word problem, and then this section will be done. By 2010, women made up over half of the labor force in the United States for the first time in history. The graph shows the percentage of jobs in the U.S. labor force held by men and by women from 1972 to 2009. The formula P equals negative 2.2 square root of T plus 63.8 models the percentage of jobs in the U.S. labor force, P, held by men T years after 1972. Okay, A, use the appropriate graph to estimate the percentage of jobs in the U.S. labor force held by men in 2000.